What's something that you've done while horny and you regret it? When I was young, I would ride this huge stuffed bear like a horse. Came out the shower and jumped on it naked, and it tickled my nuts so good I just came all over the bear. My first ever nut. I would rush home from school to tickle my balls and just nut and nut and nut on this stuffed bear. Until one day it disappears. So I start humping my pillows the same way and nutting on my pillows, then sleeping on them like an animal. My brother walks in one day, shows me a porno mag, then takes me to the computer and shows me a porn video. He goes, "Notice how they clean up after." Among other completely uncensored and straightforward sex talk. Years later, we are all drunk at my parents' for New Year's. And my brother brings it up. "Hey, remember when you would fuck stuffed animals and pillows?" I'm like, "You guys knew?" And they tell me how I would just leave the door open and they have seen me just clapping bear and pillow cheeks. Not to mention the massive amount of cum stains on black stuffed animal fur. And how they would all laugh until my brother decided to give me the sex talk, so my dumbass could figure out that stroking my dick was the proper way to masturbate and not tickled my little boy balls until completion. Sometimes I still think about it and it makes me shudder in embarrassment. Maybe 15 to 20 years ago, still living at home with siblings. I thought it would be a great idea to print off a bunch of pictures of close-up vaginas. Pin them all over the wall in the downstairs washroom like some serial killer. And spend the day in my vagina room doing whatever. Evidently I left some in the print queue, and they finally printed later when my sister used the computer. All I remember hearing was her yelling, "Oh God, your vaginas are printing. Your vaginas are printing." Never lived that one down. Mom was also upset about the holes in the bathroom wall. Simply breathtaking. A guy I met at a bar weeks before invited me over to watch some movies. I was extremely horny, extremely drunk, and extremely bleeding out of my V. He made a move on me. I said I'd love to, but it's the wrong time of the month for it. He just shrugged and said I shouldn't worry, he likes that kinda thing. Cue to him flinging a soaked up tampon out of my V, splattering blood everywhere in the process. The sex was good. The murder scene after, not so much. Definitely wouldn't agree again. Asked my husband to use the whip on me when I was on my knees. He has terrible aim. He literally whipped my pussy on accident, and it was unlike any kind of pain I'd ever felt. And I've given birth 3 times. I promise I'm not completely without manners. Not my experience, but my fiancé told me about the time when he was first learning about jacking off. He used toothpaste as lube to jack off. His reasoning was that it made your mouth tingle, so why not down there? LOL. He said it was the worst decision of his life. My fiancé asked me to add that the toothpaste was the 90s Aquafresh with the different colors. He also thanks everyone for laughing in his misery. Was in China. Rode a train for 2 hours to meet a girl. Didn't have sex. A terrible blowjob. She got tired after a minute, then cried because she missed her ex. Oh, that's just sad. All around, fucking sad. No, you missed the point. There was no fucking. Just sad. You know those silicone-ass things they have in sex shops for like $300? When I was in Montreal in my sophomore year of college, I tried to buy one. My debit card got declined, so I didn't buy it. I got a call from my dad that evening saying someone in Montreal must have stole it from me, and I had to do the talk of shame explaining that I really did do that. Me and my friend were supposed to take a visiting foreign professor for drinks. After a couple of beers, the guy told us that he wanted to see some women. We took him to a soft-core strip club. After the first beer, the guy said that he wanted something more extreme. Prostitution is legal in my country, and we took the guy to probably the largest bar with sex workers of our city. It was a bizarre place, and after few minutes our reputable visiting academic sealed the deal with a lady. The guy went with the lady to her room and came back after about 15 minutes. Suddenly the guy said that he was tired and wanted to head back to his hotel. On the ride back, the guy started weeping and telling us about his family and giving us advice about why we should love and respect our partners. I had never seen so much post-nut regret in my life. Sad guy. A football game was on and had gotten a better TV. Mentioned that to an ex and offered to buy dinner from a place she liked. She ate the food like she hadn't eaten in 3 days and gotten food all over her face. Claims the food was that good. She goes to bathroom to wash and comes out naked. She spreads out on the floor and says, "Do me." I'm 5 feet away, and the smell hits me. I say, "Let me go to the bathroom first," and I end up puking from the smell. Not me, but a friend. He drove to another city to lose his virginity. He was up all night with the girl, so he fell asleep on the ride home. Totaled his car. He told his parents he was staying at my house overnight. So it was awkward conversation when he had to call his parents to explain why he totaled his car about 100 miles from home. He actually did get laid. He said it wasn't worth it. Took a 23-hour bus ride to meet a stranger in Canada. I took a bus from New Jersey to Ottawa with very little planning. I had only spoken to this person for a week. I even went out of my way to buy a passport to do this. Keep in mind I was about 18. The trip going up wasn't that bad, but going back was a nightmare. Thankfully the person was real and I wasn't murdered. The sex, however, wasn't worth it. And it definitely wasn't worth the headache of trying to get back home. The problem was that I had gotten a bed and breakfast in Ottawa with very limited public transportation around me. I was probably closer to Carp than Ottawa. So when it came time to leave, I didn't have anyone to drive me to the bus station. I had taken a cab from the bus station in Ottawa to the bed and breakfast. There weren't any cabs available, and the person that I had hooked up with had left. So I had the owners of the bed and breakfast drive me to the bus station. Unfortunately, I arrived an hour late, thus causing me to be stuck in Montreal for over 8 hours waiting for a bus to bring me to NYC. The person at the bus station told me that the next bus will drop me off in NYC at 3 a.m. and that there wouldn't be a bus to bring me to Jersey for 4 hours after I got off. I told them that I would take the risk. Because at that point, all I wanted to do was to get back to home. After arriving in NYC, I scrambled to find a way back and decided on taking a train from NYC to Philadelphia and then to Jersey. Altogether, it took me longer to get home than it did going to Canada. Stupidly traded nudes with a guy I met online. He kept trying to get me to meet up for sex and I refused. One day he told me he found me on Facebook and if I didn't meet up with him he would send all my nudes to everyone on my Facebook friends list. So me, young and terrified, I meet up with him for sex. He lets me delete all the photos of me from his phone. After I leave I get a text from his wife saying she found my number on his phone and wanted to know if we had had sex. I told her the story and that I literally just left and of course had no idea he was married and that he blackmailed me. She apologized for what he had done, saying it's not the first girl he's done it to. Still feel dirty and a shit ton of guilt after that years later. I was 22 and left a bar with a 42-year-old cougar. If that was the bulk of the detail, then no big deal. But when we got back to her place, her maybe 15-year-old son was playing Call of Duty in the living room. Tiny apartment, I probably should have noped out at that point. About 15 minutes later he went to bed, and about 30 minutes later his mom and I were banging on the couch. We did all sorts of stuff and I'm still ashamed. The next morning we went out to her car, and her battery was dead. She left her headlights on. Yeah, she drove us drunk the night before. She was going to be my ride home. At this point I am excruciatingly hungover, and my phone has the thinnest little red line of battery life. I text a buddy telling him where I am and to please come pick me up with my car. Phone dies. I'm looking at this lady, wondering what the fuck I'm doing with my life. And I guess the best idea we had was get a margarita at this shitty Americanized Mexican food joint. It was 10 a.m. I sat there in the outside dining area with this woman, smoking a cigarette and staring into my slushy shame, wondering how many times her poor kid has seen her mom bring home some random college dude. We finished the margaritas and left the restaurant. As I walked out into the parking lot, now warming in the late morning sun, hangover getting ready to destroy me, I see my car pull into the lot with my buddy behind the wheel, with a shit-eating grin on his face. I hugged the lady, thanked her, with no exchange of numbers, and noped like I should have 9 hours earlier. To clarify, nothing wrong with getting the love on with someone older than you if both parties are legal and consenting. The main issue here is that I still cringe at the thought of what that woman's son must have heard through the thin walls of the apartment. Hopefully he had headphones in. In my early teen years, I accidentally made my clit burn using Vicks VapoRub that was supposed to give it a tingling sensation. I watched way too much BDSM and got ideas. I was in immense pain and was lying spread out under cold water to try and make it stop. And I couldn't tell my extremely religious parents or they would have freaked out. When I was about 12 or 13, I had just learned about sex. One day I was super horny and was playing with my dad's back massager. I quickly realized that it felt really good to press it on my dick. I took it into my bedroom and went to town. My mom was walking by and heard the noise, so she just let herself in. Needless to say, things were weird after that for a bit, and she hid the massager. I once got a little too enthusiastic with an eggplant emoji-shaped vibrator. Nearly got it stuck inside my back door cavity. I really didn't want to explain to anyone why I needed to go to a hospital, so I actually managed to get it out myself. but only because I already knew that if I panicked I'd make things worse. Don't worry, I would have gone to the ER if it went any further than my fingers could reach. Here's a bit of advice for all: if you put anything up your butt, please buy it from a sex store that has instructions and ways to prevent having something get stuck. Look up safe ways to enjoy having things up your butt because you could really hurt yourself. You could avoid a very embarrassing and expensive trip to the hospital. Remember kids, protection is priority. I don't care who you sleep with, just wear a condom. Fucked my landlord. He lived in the same building on the floor below me with his ex-fiancée. It was actually pretty fun until he started monitoring when I was home and knocking on my door when he knew I was home alone. Had to put an end to that real quick. My only regret is not getting a discount on rent. When I was a stupid teen, I put an ice cube in my vagina. My reasoning was that if hot water felt nice, maybe something extremely cold would. It did not feel nice, it was horrible, and I couldn't remove it. 3 minutes of agony. You should have then added hot water and watch them balance. This is a recipe for an actual thunder cunt. Tried to suck my own dick while taking a bath while with hips up. Surprise, surprise, tubs are slippery and I ended up with my neck caught under my arm as I did a back roll and landed on my side. Involuntarily gasped in pain and began to choke on water. Almost drowned in my own fucking bathtub. My neck also hurt like hell for a week. Could have been worse. Could have came into your own mouth and then have to deal with that within the instant post-nut clarity. Was at bar, ran into the hot girl from high school. She was still hot. We hit it off, had fun for the night, gave her a ride home. I was super horny and thought this was gonna be amazing. She did not invite me inside, so I just went home sad but still horny. So proceeded to pull on the old cum dispenser. Had a great time, felt way better. As I was cleaning up, she calls me and wants me to come over because she is lonely. I think, hey, I might still have some spunk left in my junk. I head over, we start getting frisky and I cannot make the soldier stand to attention. She crying thinking it's her fault. I tell her what happened and we try again, still can't get it to wake up. Between the alcohol and my balls empty, he was just a limp noodle. She asked me to leave and felt like a pile of shit. Never did hear from her again. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you like the stories. More to come daily, so don't miss it. See you tomorrow.